Checking in live from Congo Square in New Orleans, Louisiana, at Louis Armstrong Park. And what I'm just sharing here is just more sights and sounds highlighting Black history. Now, here is some information here on Congo Square. During the late 17th century and well into the 18th centuries, slaves gathered at Congo Square on Sundays and sang, danced, and drummed in authentic West African style. This rich legacy of African celebration is the foundation of New Orleans' unique musical traditions, including jazz. This statue was built in 2010 and it was generously funded by the Edward Wisner Foundation. Here you see the sculpture here, where you see the dancing, you see the drumming, you see the instrument. Now, one question that we can ask is, if Africans were enslaved with nothing, how did they learn to drum? How did they learn to play instruments? Because the musical identity was in our DNA, in our minds, and in our souls, and in our dance. And in addition to the drumming, the singing, and the dancing, these were codes of freedom. The message was not for entertainment. The activity was a movement toward the liberation against slavery. This is why we sang. This is why we dance, to communicate with each other on when, where, how, what we would do to be able to liberate ourselves from enslavement. And America's legacy of slavery, the enslavement of Africans in America, is the pink elephant, the black elephant in the room of understanding race relation, understanding the wealth inequity, understanding the educational inequity, because there is a long history of historical exclusion that, in order to make America's ideals of freedom, justice, and equality true, we must truly understand the contribution, the sacrifice of enslaved Africans to the building of the American empire. So checking in live from Congo Square, New Orleans, Louisiana, it's your brother Julian the General Smith Jr. and see JKS Smith Foundation. One of my goals is to be a authority on Black history in Atlanta, in Georgia, in America, and as well in the global African diaspora. And I want to be able to give tours and be able to bring especially Black children to places like this in New Orleans, in Atlanta, and all across, so that we truly understand the sacrifice and the contribution and the brilliant bravery that our ancestors used, using songs, using drumming, using dancing to communicate liberation from enslavement. And we must understand that we have a strong legacy that we must uphold and build upon and move forward. And that as we celebrate Juneteenth, it's very important that we include the concept of reparations in this conversation. Juneteenth is not just about the celebration or the commemoration of the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth is also a step forward to recognizing that there are historical wealth inequities that must be addressed because of the ideals of justice. And so we're continuing here with our history lesson for today, live from New Orleans, Louisiana, checking in from Congo Square. It's your brother from Atlanta, your groove master, your General Julian K. Smith Jr., founder and CEO of the J.K. Smith Senior Foundation. And see, one reason, like you say, I like to wear this with my daddy's hat, you see. But he said my mama made it for him, you know. But so as a son, as a good son, it's my duty to continue the traditions of my father. So, you know, Morris Brown College was the place where he graduated and where we're working to restore Fountain Hall. And see, with these restoration, we can also continue to highlight music and culture from all around the world inside of Fountain Hall. Here we are with Congo Square. Congo Square is in the vicinity of a spot which Omas Indians, Native Americans, used before the arrival of the French for celebrating their annual corn harvest, and was considered sacred ground. The gathering of enslaved African vendors in Congo Square originated as early as the late 1740s during Louisiana's French colonial period and continued during the Spanish colonial era as one of the city's public markets. By 1803, Congo Square had become famous for the gatherings of enslaved Africans who drummed, danced, and sang and traded on Sunday afternoons. By 1819, these gatherings numbered as many as 500 to 600 people. Among the most famous dances were the Bambula, the Kalinda, and the Congo. These African cultural expressions gradually developed into Mardi Gras, Indian traditions, the second line, and eventually New Orleans jazz and rhythm and blues. The Congo Square was listed on the National Register of Historic Places on January 28, 1993.
Good job.
Oh, thank you.
You have nice voice.
Oh, appreciate it. Tours coming soon. And here we are at the Congo Square, and it is a place where on Sunday, as today is Resurrection Sunday, that enslaved Africans would come to sing, to dance, to communicate, to trade. And places like these are key to the fabric of what it means to be American and what America is today. And as we move forward, in order to close the education, the wealth, the health, the political disenfranchisement, we must continue to understand that the reconstruction of America after the Civil War is something that we are continuing to do in the 21st century. So it's your brother, Groove Master Julian the General Smith Jr. checking in live from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm going to check back in with you. Hey, listen, my intent is to be authority on Black history in Atlanta and across the global African diaspora. I look forward to speaking with you, leading with you, working with you. Salute for the General. Gone.